Alright guys, we are back here for round 2 with the Karn list that you see on screen. We managed to get away with a win in round 1, and so I'm eager to see how we will perform in round 2 here. If you are interested in details of the deck list, then you know what to do. Go ahead and check out match 1, where I will go over in detail the choices made for this particular deck list, and I'm not going to go over all that here. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump straight into the match. Also, I want to apologize in advance if there's any background noise that comes through in the recording of this. Unfortunately, with the current state of things, that's going to be unavoidable. But it looks like we have found our match, so let's go ahead and jump in here and see what we can do. Yeah, I can't say I'm in love with this hand. I mean, we have a lot of lands and a couple Summoners packs, but we don't have a lot of ramp, and we're on the draw, so pacting for a 3-drop to play on turn 3, and then tapping out turn 4 before we get to play Titan. Obviously not the move. Yeah, and this is a why we mulligan. If we draw even a single bounce land, then we're going to be in business here, so that's a common theme that you will find in Amulet, is drawing a bounce land is probably going to lead to a win here. Now we gotta decide what we're bottoming. I think, considering we already have an Amulet in hand, we're not going to need to have a Hunwer Battlements already. The Valakut will be useful if we draw just a couple of lands to go with our Dryad, and obviously Radiant Fountain could be good in gaining us a little bit of life against an aggressive strategy, perhaps. So I'm going to go with bottoming the Hunwer here. It's one we'd rather have in our deck, if I'm being completely honest. We got Snow Swamp, Thoughtseize. Okay. Playing against Epic Warfare, by the way. That's a pretty cool name. I imagine they'll be taking our Primeval Titan with this Thoughtseize. The Theros art, which is an interesting choice. I personally prefer the original Lorwyn block art, where they take the Dryad. That's rather bold. I think the choice there was either Amulet or Primeval Titan, and it was probably supposed to be Primeval Titan, but we'll see what our opponent has. That means they could potentially have another discard spell here, but I mean, I'm not going to give them the option of taking Amulet. I personally value having Amulet very highly, and I wouldn't want them to just strip our hand of Amulet and leave us with a Titan that we'll never be able to cast. So we're definitely playing the Amulet out here. We got another Snow Swamp. Expedition map. Excuse me? What is going on over here? Expedition map. And a mono black deck? Okay. Are we playing against a meme deck like mono black Tron or something? Let's play this Valakut out, I suppose, and we have Titan this upcoming turn thanks to our second Amulet of Vigor that we have drawn. So, I mean, we'll see where that takes us. Oh, Field of Ruin? Gross. Gross. Not great for us. I mean, I guess we have to force our opponent to use it, so definitely not exposing our Growth Chamber here. Although I suppose we're losing some slight points of advantage by the fact that we have a Rot Farm as only one of our uniquely named lands here, so we're not going to be able to get a bounce land for diversity's sake, but I mean, that's probably fine. And of course, we have to make our opponent use their Field of Ruin, so... And we'll pick up our Radiant Fountain for max value here and pass it back. We still have Titan this upcoming turn thanks to our God top deck of a second bounce land, of course, so... Still not really sure why our opponent is playing Expedition Map in their deck, and holding up 4 black mana and doing nothing. Although it seems that they have found access here to a foil Snow-Covered Swamp, which will be extremely potent against us. And our freshly drawn Dryad is a pretty free one to play here, so... Let's see, we go down to 1 mana floating, Growth Chamber in for 4 more mana, it's 5, 6, 7. So we should be able to do this pretty easily. So let's go ahead and get our Dryad into play. This means that we can pretty safely go for a haste on our Titan if we so desire it. We'll see about that in the near future. Let's go ahead and get our mana situation set up. First things first. Step 1, cast Primeval Titan. Then, from there, we can determine what we're getting with it. And let's pick up the bounce land here to save with our use of double Amulet and Dryad in play. So, here's Titan. So we could get Hunwer and Valakut and go for the haste. There's no reason to pick up a second Valakut off of this Titan ETB trigger, though. I think the safest possible... Our opponent is just activating map here. That's interesting. I think the safest possible play is to get Tolari West and Hanweir. That way we can still present the haste, and if our opponent has a removal spell, it's a little late to Shadow a Doubt, but actually no. I guess this was the best time to do so. I don't know what I'm thinking. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we're passing it back. It's a good thing we didn't cast the Summoner's Pact this turn. Yeah, that was a pretty good Shadow Doubt, not gonna lie. I mean, our opponent is still going to die to our battlefield, so they've got a lot of work to do. They need land damnation here. That would actually be pretty good against us, I'm not gonna lie. We could still rip a Titan off the top, but Blast Zone to blow up our amulets, that's something. Okay, well, let's go straight to combat, I suppose. Of course, we're swinging out. And knowing that we're going to lose our amulets, I'm a little less interested in getting Telarios. I think we probably still will. Another Shadow Doubt. Man, our opponent's packing all the Shadow Doubts here. Okay, well, we're just clocking them for some damage. Let's go Forest into Radiant Fountain. And I think I'm just going to pass it back. There's no reason to play out the Azusa here into a potential damnation. We'll have at least something that we can do if our opponent wipes the board here. I don't know if our opponent would be playing Damnation, but I mean, they're dead on board, so. Grazer, okay. Combat. Shadow of Doubt number 3 incoming, guys. Be prepared for it. Here's Shadow of Doubt number 3. Eliminate. Okay, so they got rid of that Dryad. Okay, that's acceptable. And Shadow of Doubt. Okay, fine. That's cool. So, I'm just going to throw out a little Arboreal Grazer here into play so that we have something to sacrifice to Liliana of the Veil, and we'll just pass it back. Again, not in too terrible of a rush here. Actually, I suppose our opponent can Blast Zone away our Amulet and Grazer and then still have Liliana if they had all the mana for that. Dark Petition. That's a kind of a scary one. 5 mana, search for a card and put it into your hand. If there are 2 more instant or sorceries in their graveyard, they get to add a couple black here. Obnixilis, okay. Our opponent's at 2. They're destroying our Titan. Okay, well, 2 swings with this Azusa we've been holding in stay here will be enough to finish the job. That is if we are able to get there. So let's throw this Azusa into play. And the Ghost Quarter. Do we just blow up the Blast Zone? I mean, it's not really harming us right now. I suppose they could have like a Mutavault or something that we would want to blow up otherwise, so. If they do Blast Zone us, then it'll make transmuting Telarios a little harder, but that's about it. They're going to 1, drawing with Obnixilis. Bold statement. Our opponent has to have something to do with this Azusa here, right? Blast Zone. Okay. Farika's Liberation. So, we are being forced to sacrifice a creature. I'll sacrifice that one. Okay, our opponent is on 1 card and 1 life with an active Obnixilis. Titan off the top, let's go. Alright. Titan off the top, let's go. Dark Petition, okay. I guess we kind of just got crushed by these Shadow Doubts so far. Unfortunate. What does our opponent search for here? Sorin. Interesting. So they're gaining some of that life back. They can make our life total 10 if they want to. Turntimber Symbiosis. Well, we can't quite cast that one just yet. We can play it as a land to save it from potential discard spells and then pick it up with our Growth Chamber and cast it this upcoming turn. So I guess that's going to be the play. Yeah, and we'll pass it back. Using some of our land slots here as turn timbers will prove quite useful here. What is the ultimate on this Sorin? You control target player during that player's next turn. That's going to be this upcoming turn. that they get to do this. Not this turn that they're on, but the one after. So, Liliana of the Veil. Yeah. That is pretty annoying. Our opponent's on Mono Black Super Friends over there. Expedition map. Okay. Alright, let's get a Titan off the top one time. Or a Bounce Land. I'd take a Bounce Land as well. Radiant Fountain. Okay. Our opponent's going deep over here. Castle Garenbrig. I mean, we'll play it, and we'll pass it back. If our opponent goes for the controlling us, then we're going to go ahead and fire off our Ghost Quarter here, I do think. They're discarding their Thoughtseize. This is very weird. Alright, we're at 10. Our opponent is continuing to draw the cards. I know, they had a Field of Ruin for our Turn Timber. Oh, they're going after the Valakut. Okay. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. I mean, we don't have a basic to search for, but... Alright, we need any kind of business off the top. Karn, Titan, Bounce Land. Bounce Land would still be good. Hanweir. That one doesn't quite qualify. This is a ridiculous game. Alright, our opponent's immediately going to discard their Inquisition of Kozilek. Makes sense. Let's see, this guy's -8 is whenever a player draws a card, you lose 2 life. We get an emblem that says that, I should say. Oh, there we go. Primeval Titan, you say. Why, yes, I am in the market for that particular card effect. And we can haste it off of our Crumbling Vestige. Thank you very much. Just in time to deal with our opponent's Liliana of the Veil, although they're going to be able to get us with the Obnixilis here. So yeah, we definitely want Field of the Dead and Crumbling Vestige here. Okay, okay. I think we do still have to attack the Liliana here. Actually, no, our opponent's at 5. What am I saying? Let's just attack our opponent. They have 0 cards in hand, so... That was a very weird game. It got me so off kilter at the end, though, that I was missing an obvious lethal. So, there's that. Let's see. We still want Karns here, I think. We can't get Pithing Needle to deactivate our opponent's Planeswalkers. I could actually see Negate being good here, although against our opponent's discard, it may not be the best. Nah. Let's get a different reactive answer here in Beast Within. Beast Within is better off the top of our deck than Negate. Let's see. Our opponent could have things like Phyrexian Arena and like Ensnaring Bridge. I could see that being the case, so let's bring in the Reclamation Sage just in case. Explosive seems pretty bad against our opponent. Grazer seems quite bad against our opponent. And yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, I kind of feel like we could be siding out things like Bojuka Bog or Cavern of Souls here. Would we rather have the Wurmcoil in our main deck? I don't think so. It makes our Karns much better to have the Wurmcoil in the sideboard, so... I don't know, is it better to have Grazer than Bog or Cavern of Souls? I kind of doubt it. Alright, let's just run it back this way. Man, that was the last possible turn for us to top deck Titan, and we just really did that, didn't we? Alright, we got a hand with tons and tons of mana. These lands cast Turn Timber Symbiosis already. We have one of the few Grazers that are left in our deck. But, like, I mean, that's not the worst. I mean, I don't think we can afford to mulligan this, so we'll keep. It's really loose, but our opponent doesn't seem to be clocking us, so... Inquisition to take our Grazer. Well, that actually feels fantastic. I'm glad that our opponent traded a card for our Arboreal Grazer. Thank you very much, opponent. And let's play out a Turpentine Wood here. Serpentine Wood? What was Serpentine Wood. I combined Turn Timber and Serpentine and made it Turpentine. That's the kind of content that you'd only get here, guys. Yeah, let's just continue to do that, I guess. Sure. Next turn, we can go Dryad into Growth Chamber. Feeling good. Field of Ruin, Expedition Map. These are all fine. Alright. So, let's definitely get our Dryad into play here. Are we still playing a bounce land into our opponent's known Field of Ruin? I think we do, because if they Field of Ruin us immediately, then they can't Shadow of Doubt us. And if they don't Field of Ruin us, then we have Titan this upcoming turn. So I guess we can play around the field a little bit by playing out a Gruul Turf at least, so we don't lose a blue source. And we'll go ahead and pick up a Turn Timber here. If we end up having to pay 3 life for a Titan, that's a trade I'm willing to make, or more accurately, a sacrifice I'm willing to make. We definitely want to go ahead and use our bounce lands to pick up these Turn Timbers while we can, as our opponent could be filling up on Thoughtseize type effects as we speak. Maybe they have 3 Thoughtseizes in their hand right now. Who could say? You see a Castle Locthwain. Is our opponent tapping their Field of Ruin? Because that's something that I like the sound of. Eliminate. Okay, so no Titan this upcoming turn exactly. There's a Thoughtseize, which is the reason why we were picking up this Turn Timber in the first place. Don't want to put ourselves in the position where we have to top deck even more bounce lands than we've already drawn in order to have access to our Turn Timbers here. So, Tolaria West, interesting. Yeah, let's just play Growth Chamber here. Get a Turn Timber back, pass it back. We can now play a Titan if we top deck one. Obnixilis, you got it. All right, come on, deck. Titan off the top. Let's go. Titan. That is not Titan. We'll deal. Do we play out the Tolaria West and expose it to field? I think that if our opponent fields our Tolaria West, we're doing pretty all right. So this lets us transmute it this upcoming turn, or just play a Turn Timber Symbiosis, whichever we prefer. Our opponent is drawing the cards and losing the life. A pretty decent effect, all things considered. Okay, so it's Turn Timber time. We are really hoping to hit exactly Primeval Titan off this, though. We want Field of the Dead so that we don't just lose our entire card of Turn Timber Symbiosis to Obnixilis' -3. So Titan off the top would be great. There we go. Are we putting Field of the Dead into play against our opponent's active Field of Ruins? Okay, it doesn't matter. Our opponent is not giving us the option. Shadow of Doubt. Okay. And they're going to fire off the Field of Ruin immediately, hitting the Growth Chamber. Good choice. Yeah, we're done. Pass it back. Shadow of Doubt is surprisingly brutal against us. I mean, I guess it's not really that surprising. All right, Titan down. At least our opponent's Obnixilis is very late to ultimate here. Also, our opponent spends a card in 2 life to see our Hand of All Lands. They Ghost Quartered our Gruul Turf, it looks like. Okay. So let's cast this Explore here. Explore was a very fine top deck, if I might add. We'll play a Growth Chamber out. Sure. Picking up a basic forest. And then we'll play a Gruul Turf, I suppose, as well. Picking up the Cavern of Souls. Right, pass it back. We have Titan this upcoming turn again. And we will hopefully be able to search here if our opponent doesn't Shadow of Doubt us again. They certainly could. This is such a weird matchup. Have you guys at home played against a mono black control? I certainly have not. Let's play our Amulet out here. And go for the Growth Chamber, I think. This will allow us to haste our Titan if we do in fact get to search with it. This also lets us leave blue sources in play for being able to transmute our Tolaria West down the line, assuming our opponent doesn't Field of Ruin it away. No Shadow of Doubt. Alright, our opponent has no Shadow of Doubt. That's a good first step. Now the question becomes, do we risk losing our Titan to an instant speed removal spell? Because it looked like our opponent had access to numerous. We could also send a Bojuka Bog our opponent's graveyard's way, so we make their Dark Petitions much worse. It's not the worst. Like, we could do Bajuka Bog and a blue source, maybe another Talari West here, so that we can't be Field of Ruined out of access to our current Talari West. It's very late game oriented. We are just going to lose our Titan to Ob Nixilis, so very awkward stuff here. I think, man, it's very weird. Okay, so I think we want to go for the max value on this one. So let's get Bajuka Bog and T-West. I think this gives us the best chance going long. So that's the plan. This way, if our opponent just has a removal spell, we don't get immediately blown out by it. And we'll pass it back. And they do have the removal spell. Alright. I'm glad we played around it. They're drawing more cards. Draw all the cards. This Ob Nixilis Planeswalker has actually been very problematic for us. Inquisition to hit nothing. Love it. You can do that all day, opponent. I do not mind. Have we lost our Valakut yet? No. Okay, so Dryad is still a possibility for the long game here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana, so we can transmute for and cast a Summoner's Pact and get another Titan into play right now. I do think that's going to have to be the play. We're playing in a Shadow of Doubt, but there's not much that can be done about that. We have to transmute this Talari West at sorcery speed anyway, so let's go ahead and transmute. And it goes through, which makes me think that our Titan is likely to go through as well. So let's just do it. And now we can get Field of the Dead. Is this our last Primeval Titan? That's interesting. Alright, so we gotta make it count. Titan. Do we go for the haste? That is the question. Hasting and killing this Ob Nixilis would be the best way to secure our position, but it gets blown out by a single removal spell, which our opponent most certainly could have. See, they have 6 counters on their Ob, so... Man, I really don't want to come to terms with the fact that we're probably about to lose our Primeval Titan, but I do not think that we have a choice. I guess the best way to play against that is to get a Gruul Turf and pick up our Talari West here, so that we are guaranteed to have another threat, probably just transmuting straight away for the Field of the Dead, and then also get battlements. And that makes a lot of sense. That way we can threaten the haste, but also get a threat back out of our Titan ETB trigger, so that's what I'm going to go for. Best case scenario would be they Field of Ruin our Hanweir here. That's fine. I mean, I say it's best case. It's still not great for us, but... I mean, now they are forced to find a way to deal with our Primeval Titan, so that's good. We'll pick up the Talari West here, of course. If it'll let us. There we go. Yeah. And now our opponent doesn't have an onboard answer to our Field of the Dead, so... Yep, and they have to Ob Nixilis minus to kill our guy, which is so much better than them just casting a spell to do so. Another dead discard spell here. Sorin. That one is fine. Okay, so let's pay like such, leaving all of our blue open for Talari West. Another Summer's Pact. That doesn't really do much. I guess we could transmute for Valakut, play Dryad, like Summer's Pact for and play Dryad, play Valakut, second land, and kill both Planeswalkers. That's pretty good. I think that's going to be the move. Yeah, I think that might be better than getting Field. I don't know, is it though? It's interesting. If our opponent has a second Ob Nixilis, then just going for Dryad here is going to be disappointing. We only have 5 land names in play, however. Alright, I'm gonna go for the Dryad line. It gives us a lot of immediate value. And if our opponent doesn't have an answer for it, then we'll be in pretty good shape. And if our opponent does have an answer, then we'll just keep playing, I guess. With a Valakut already in play for another Dryad if we draw another copy. So here's land 1. Kill that Ob immediately. We'll always yield this. Yes. And we'll play the Snow Forest, I suppose. I think that it's strictly better than our Valakut here. Actually, let's cancel this real quick. Do we actually need to kill this Sorin? That is the question. I mean, we can't really clock it. That might be fine, actually. But, whatever. Let's just get the Sorin out of play. It's better to not have to deal with the headache, I think. And we'll pass it back. If our opponent does have another Ob Nixilis here, then we can always just draw another Dryad, hopefully. So, I don't know. This is kind of a mess. We have no more copies of Titan left in our deck, so that's all we had. Our opponent's at 8. Okay. Ashiok, that's perfectly fine, actually. One of the few cases where I'm glad my opponent used their 3 mana to cast an Ashiok instead of a Liliana of the Veil. Very noteworthy moment here. Okay. And I don't think there's anything else. Oh, well, we have a Summoner's Pact. That'll unlock another Dryad for us here, so I think we actually do want to kill this Ashiok now. Let's inform our decision first by attacking the Ashiok, I think. Yeah, I think we just need to unlock our Summoner's Pact to give us another copy of Dryad here in case our opponent does find a removal spell. So that's going to be my play. Might as well name Dryad, I guess. Send this at Ashiok. Yes. And I do think we should pack for and cast the Dryad now, so our opponent can't Shadow of Doubt us. Well, I mean, we don't have to cast it. I guess if we don't cast it, though, we're playing into our opponent's dead discard spells, which have, to this point, done nothing, so let's just continue to make that a non-option for them. And now they're on a 2-turn clock, plus any land that we draw is a good top deck. Okay, well, Radiant Fountain makes this no longer a 2-turn clock, but with a land, it's a 2-turn clock. And with a bounce land, whew, they're in for a lot of damage. Drawing with Lockplane. Alright. Field of Ruin. Oh, they can answer our Valakut. Okay. Well, they can't do it this turn, so... Alright, deck. Let's top deck second Valakut right now. That is our high-tier strategy. Ooh, Karn? Do not tempt me, deck. Do not tempt me. Alright, swing. That Karn, man, I forgot that we were playing the list that has Karn, in all honesty. That's just so fantastic. Here he goes. And I think, I mean, there's nothing that we would be, I guess we could play Wormcoil Engine immediately. You know what? I'm doing it. Wormcoil Engine, come to us. We have summoned your expertise. Man, this is such a satisfying Karn. Boom. Into play. Pass it back. Even if our opponent has literally Damnation, we still have 2 lethal attackers plus a Karn. So, my, how the turns have tabled. Our opponent is saying that we had lucky draws. I'm not going to speak a whole lot to that, other than to say that if you're smart and play to your outs, then you can be set up to win the game. And just calling your opponent's draws lucky without considering the intention of their plays, I mean, let's be honest, that's not very open-minded. Here, to the Lily minus, I think we just go ahead and sacrifice a Dryad, as our opponent could still have Damnation, and we don't want to give them... Are they plussed? Okay, well, that does nothing. Our opponent's at 1. Okay. And they finally conceded. I think they already knew that they were dead there, so... Alright. Well, unusual match 2 here. I can't say I've ever played against a deck like that. It was a fun experience, though. Of course, except for the little saltiness that our opponent displayed at the end there, but, I mean, who can blame them? It's really frustrating to lose to a long grind because of the plays that were made in the game and potentially the cards that were drawn. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Did I get super lucky? I don't know. Keep me humble. Let me know. If I got super lucky, then you shout it. Put it in all caps in the comments. I will pin and highlight it, and the world will know that you said so. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. We're 2-0 now. We got a pretty good lead on our league here. And hopefully you'll follow me to match 3, where we can continue the Slaughterfest. I'll see you guys there. This is Redface Menace, signing off.